mind doing this game, yeah?
Like Vincent van Gogh.
He dedicated his life to his art and lost his mind in the process. That's happened to me.
Well, fuck it.
And that gold belt was around my waist, and my mother has a big mansion, and my girlfriend has a different car for every day of the week, and my kids have everything they ever want.
Then it was pain.
And I'm happy I lost my mind. I'll die a crazy old man.
And while that could be one of the most honest and insane things Conor McGregor's ever said, it might also be the greatest quote of all time. What would that be, the quote? Because before the belt, before Proper 12, and before he became #1 on Forbes' list of world's highest paid athletes, hearing an Irishman say all of that back then sounded ridiculous, arrogant, and delusional. An uncomfortable truth about chasing anything serious is before it works, belief looks like delusion, and only after will people call it vision. For some reason, we like to do this thing where we pretend successful people were always obvious. We look at them after the fact and act as if their confidence always made sense. Like, of course Kobe knew he was Kobe. Of course Kanye thought he was a god. And of course McGregor believed he was going to become the first devil champ in UFC history, box Floyd Mayweather, and start a whiskey company. Duh. When in reality, that level of self-belief will always look crazy until the evidence is there to back it up. But that doesn't automatically make it a bad thing. When Kanye said,
I just told you who I thought I was, a god.
We can laugh at him and dismiss him as an egomaniac, and that's probably true. But there is something deeper happening there, because in order to create at a high level, to compete at a high level, or to build something from nothing, you have to trick yourself into believing before the results show up. Believing in a version of yourself that technically does not exist yet. It can't just be believing in who you are right now. It has to be believing in who you can become if you stop quitting every time reality reminds you. You're not him yet.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Most people quit right there. Not because they're incapable, talentless, or stupid, but because the beginning is humiliating. The beginning of any dream is ugly and pathetic. Trust me, I know. The first video is bad. The first song will probably be ear-bleeding. The first chapter probably won't turn out as you imagine. The first workout's gonna embarrass you, and I could go on and on. The first attempt at anything meaningful is usually gonna feel like proof that you probably shouldn't continue. But starting isn't just like passing through a barrier and now you're suddenly the person that you imagined in your head. Usually it's going to come with a lot of you being frustrated, confused, overwhelmed, and painfully aware of the gap between what you want to make and what you're actually capable of. But that gap is where the transformation happens. I know because I've lived it. When I started, I did not know how to make a good video. And you could argue I still don't. I did not have a plan. I did not understand pacing, editing, storytelling, or thumbnails. All I knew how to do was screen record and download images. So that's what I did. At first, I just started uploading gaming content to the channel, and eventually I turned it into video essays. And as you can see from the early ones on the channel, they started out really bad, and they might still be. But my point being, one day I ended up just starting, and my starting point was nowhere near mastery. I had very little confidence and no blueprint going forward, but I started with what I knew, and as little as that was, that's how almost everything starts. You start by doing with what you know, and the work exposes what you need to learn next. You make your first video, but then you notice that the pacing is off, so you focus on that for the next one. But the video still feels hollow, so you work on sound design next, and that helped, but the image is still flat, so you learn to color grade. But if you're really honest with yourself, your scripts are weak, so you learn to refine your writing. So on and so forth, because there will always be more to improve upon. And the more that you learn, the easier the flaws are to spot, so you can't let them stop you. Everything is a process. You don't wait until you're good enough to start.
Let's do it!
And the process builds your foundation. Waiting until the day that you know what you are doing is one of the biggest traps in the world, because that day will not come. But the day you start can be today. Because the only version of you that understands how to do or make the thing inside of your dreams is on the other side of the worst version of that dream. This is where delusion is superhuman. Not by lying to yourself and saying that you're greater than what you are. It's saying, I might not be good enough yet, but I'm going to keep going forward anyways. And through my process, I will be. I might not know how to do that now, but I can learn anything I put my mind to. Mentally, you got to step into the identity before the world gives you permission. If you're waiting for permission, you'll wait for your whole life. And the world loves to pretend that fear is maturity. People will tell you to be realistic when what they really mean is, don't make me uncomfortable by chasing a dream I was too afraid to pursue myself. These are the people that will tell you creative work is childish, music isn't practical, sports are a long shot, and that fantasy novel that you've always dreamed about writing, it should remain a fantasy. They want you to keep your head down, take the promotion, the extra hours, and the additional responsibilities, and be grateful. And look, I'm not saying that every normal job is bad. You shouldn't just quit your job and then go pursue some vague fantasy you have. But I am saying something else that a lot of people are scared to admit. Sometimes the safe path is just a slower way to lose yourself. For some, a promotion at a job they hate is not progress. It's a better title attached to a worse version of their life. More hours, more responsibilities, more stress, and less of your time going to the dream that won't leave your subconscious. And for what? So you can keep living in service of someone else's dream while you convince yourself that being exhausted means you're being a responsible adult. One day you gotta ask yourself, do I really want this life, or did I inherit someone else's definition of stability? Do I have a dream? Have you felt something calling to you from the back of your mind for years? Be it a book, a channel, music, art, cooking, or any other project that comes to mind. If it's something you can't stop thinking about when you're supposed to be focused on something else, maybe it's time to pursue it. People want to act like chasing your dreams is risky and doing what everyone expects is safe. But there are plenty of people who do exactly what is right and still end up broke, divorced, unhappy, unhealthy, and full of regret.
That's my credo, no regrets.
There is no path where life cannot hurt you. So with risk existing either way, why choose the path that guarantees you won't be fulfilled? I would rather fail at something I wanted to do versus coasting by for 45 years depressed because I never gave myself a true chance at life. No, not everyone who tries is going to win. But there's a certain type of fulfillment that only comes from improving at something you care about. Not talking about how you might do it one day, but actually doing it over and over again until one day you look back at something you made 6 months ago and you realize you would never make it like that today. Because that feeling is addictive. It proves that you're not fixed, that you can change, that the version that you feared was permanent was only underdeveloped. That above all else is what my journey here on YouTube has done for me. It has forced me to become more than one thing. When I was younger, I guess I used to think that creativity was a trait some people just had. Like you were either creative or non-creative. The old left versus right brain thing. But that's nonsense. Most people aren't just one thing. Sure, they might be underdeveloped in a certain area, but usually it's because they were told not to go in that direction. I know I most certainly did not start with a complete skill set. I've been building it piece by piece as the work has demanded it. And that's led me to discovering a lot more about myself, such as the fact that I really enjoy writing and world building. So much so that I've been working on a fantasy universe of my own. The current plan with that is to start with a short novella titled The Scarin' that I'll publish and then record to post here on the channel as an audiobook for free. That story would serve as the introduction to a world that, if all goes according to plan, would lead into a full trilogy. Now that novella wouldn't necessarily be required reading, but it would introduce some of the same ideas and characters that would be important in the actual trilogy. That probably is a long ways out, but I am still super excited about it. And I just wanted to let those of you interested know that I will have a newsletter in the description and probably the comments where you can sign up for that to stay updated on Ascarin and future books. And maybe that sounds crazy. Good, because I don't know everything writing a book entails, but I will. And I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I'm going to find out. And I don't even know if it's going to be good enough for any of you guys to care. But I'm going to write it anyways. Because what I do know is that idea keeps calling to me in my subconscious. And that if I don't write it, or if I wait until I feel ready, I'll never do it. So I started. And that's the whole message of this video. Start now. Because you'll never be 100% confident in your idea. But at some point, you have to trick yourself into becoming the person that will go through with it regardless. You have to keep going when the only thing telling you that this matters is that quiet little voice that keeps whispering in your head. And you have to ignore the one that won't stop screaming the opposite. Because delusion without the work is a fantasy. But delusion with discipline can be a vision. Anybody can post quotes, talk about their dreams, and picture that final scene where everybody finally understands. But the people that actually become that vision of themselves did it through repetition and obsession towards their craft. There's no shortcuts. You have to study, practice, fail, learn, and repeat. And you have to keep going long after the fun part is over. The truth is, if you only work on your dream when you feel good, you don't have a dream. You have a mood. The dream becomes real when you keep pushing after the mood is gone. That's why you gotta channel a level of obsession.
Because our obsessions become our possessions.
Obsession as in pushing past the comfortable version of effort. Because comfort is stagnation. Uncomfortability forces change. It forces growth. People don't want to hear that you have to put in more work sometimes. You have to redo a section because it isn't working, watch a tutorial, rewrite a paragraph for the 5th time, or cut a section of the video that you liked because it just wasn't serving the project. And you have to accept that the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and even, hell, what is this, the 13th version might not be good. But each time your workflow improves and you can spend more time on an aspect you either overlooked or didn't understand before, until one day, you're not the same person that started. And that's the reward most people miss out on when they leave the dream in their head. Because the dream isn't about what you get in the end, it's about who the pursuit molds you into. So yes, maybe you need to be a little delusional. You need to have a little belief before it makes sense. If when you look at the life everyone else told you was realistic and you see a slow death for yourself, stop asking whether the dream is guaranteed and start asking, what if you never try? That thing in your subconscious won't disappear, but it will go quieter until the day that you realize you regret not listening to it. So you need to start today. Start badly and start confused with what you know how to do right now. Download the images, screen record the clips, write the first paragraph, record the first song, cook the first meal, complete the first project. The work will teach you what's next, because all you need is enough delusional self-belief paired with a splash of discipline to know that you'll figure it out. Till next time.